Welcome to the Queer Love Podcast, the silly and serious shenanigans of two queer relationship coaches. I am your host, Elizabeth Cunningham.
And I'm your host, Lee Greeps.
On this podcast, we talk about how to live your best queer life with fulfilling, healthy relationships and anything else that makes your little queer heart happy. Because living your life outside of the heteronormative scripts is totally possible for you.
Each episode, we explore all things queer love from our professional perspective as relationship coaches, our own personal experiences, and as partners.
If you love our show, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter at Queer Love Relationships. You can also check out our website, www.queerloverelationships.com.
Thanks for following us and enjoy this episode.
Welcome to the Queer Love Podcast. Where we are having an interesting day.
Interesting. I thought it was hilarious.
What are we talking about today?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I would. That is why I asked that question.
I'm not going to tell you. It's my secret.
Oh, I see what you did there.
That was good.
Hilarious.
Secrets are no fun.
Unless I am a part of one.
That's right.
Have you heard that jingle? Taunt. It's a little kid taunt. I learned it when I was growing up in the Midwest.
Never heard it in my life.
Lee never heard it until they met me. And I don't even remember why it got brought up. But it was like, secrets are no fun unless I am a part of one.
And I love it.
Or the one from The Office is secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone.
Oh, yeah. Well, that one's not so fun.
Why? Because it's more accurate.
Just, not the same ring to it.
But it's more accurate for what we're talking about today.
I guess.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about all of Elizabeth's secrets.
Oh, yes, all of them. All of the secrets that I keep.
That's right.
No, I'm like my mom. I don't keep secrets. It's too much energy. Too much work.
Well, we'll be the judges of that.
I have to remember who I told or who I didn't tell. It's like, that's why I'm not a very good liar. It's like, I could lie and like you could believe my lie, but then I would immediately get caught in my lie because I would forget that I told you or forget what I told you or forget who I told. Like,
she can lie to you if she's never to see you ever again.
Right. Exactly. And then what does it matter? You know, who cares?
Who knows? It could be a part of this grand scheme.
Well, we could start talking about the butterfly effect, but we are not going to do that. We're going to talk about, secrets in your relationships, but specifically when you think like your partner or partners are holding information from you, withholding information from you. And a little bit more about that experience and maybe some things that you could do or some conversations that you can have or, what steps you can take moving forward if you feel like one of your partners is withholding information or deliberately like keeping a secret, which some people don't differentiate between those two things.
Fuzzy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just to address it really quick, I think they're like, in some cases, withholding information is like not malicious, right? Like sometimes people just are like, oh, I didn't realize that was like a piece of information that you would want to know,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I'm thinking about in non-monogamous relationships where, especially, you know, maybe it's like the beginning of your relationship with someone and you haven't like fully established what you want to share and what you don't want to share.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe you don't tell your partner something because you have other partners who like don't want to know that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like about a first date, like they don't want to know that you kissed or, you know, something like that, right? So then you get a new partner and you know, don't tell your new partner about some of those other details, like with your, you know, with your other partners. And they're like, and they take it as withholding information. And it was, you were withholding information, but you weren't doing it maliciously. Like you were doing it under the assumption that they also wouldn't want to know that information, which, you know, it's not great to make assumptions. You know, we should really, you know, ask those questions, blah, 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 blah. And also we're all human, you know, like not every withhold of information is malicious, right? And in the same vein, not all secrets are malicious either. And sometimes they can be. Like sometimes withholding of information or keeping secrets is done specifically because, you know, someone wants to keep you on the outside, or they want to lie to you, or, you know, they feel ashamed about what they're doing, so then they don't tell you. And they don't tell you, and why they're ashamed is because they know that what they are doing is hurtful to you, right? And so there is like this underlying, like, you will get hurt if you knew this information, and they either are not telling you that because they want to hurt you, or they're telling you that because they don't want to hurt you and they think telling you will hurt you, right? So lots of different combinations, but I think that that's also like good to open up, because I think, you know, having that nuance of a conversation is going to be helpful moving forward as well. Because I think it, you know, me personally, I would feel different about someone withholding information because they want to hurt me.
Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
versus withholding information because they just made an assumption about what I want to know and they weren't trying to be hurtful. Like that is going to be a different repair process. That is going to have me feel differently about them and the relationship moving forward. That is different for, you know, the amount of trust that is broken or needing to be healed, right? So I think the nuance is important. Anything else that you want to add about like kind of the nuance of keeping secrets and why you would keep secrets, or what that would look like?
No, I mean, I think there's just so much. Yeah, it is like really being, you know, if things are coming up or whatever, it's just like, yeah, you have to understand like the reasons behind things. Like you said, like, was it because someone was deliberately trying to hurt you? Or was it because like they thought you didn't want to know that, or whatever it is, you know? So it's just like, you know, there is a lot within that, because it's not going to be black and white in that way. And then it's like figuring out, like, and then it's like, why are you trying to hurt me? What?
Yeah, totally. Well, it's a different set of actions. For me, that would be a different set of actions moving forward if someone was deliberately trying to hurt me versus like it was a mistake or unconscious or a miscommunication or, you know, whatever it was. Right. That would have me take different action. I'm like, oh, you're deliberately trying to hurt me? I would probably end the relationship.
It'd be like, what is going on?
You're like, all right, okay, well, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, what do you want people to know about keeping secrets? or rather, sorry, not keeping secrets. What was it?
This is how to best keep a secret. All right, so here we go.
Here we are. Best way to keep a secret. No, what what do you want people to know about if they think, there you go, if they think their partner is keeping secrets or withholding information from them?
What I want you to know is that they are.
Oh my. Sassy today. This is what we've been dealing with today. This is the shenanigans of today.
Oh, it's so funny. No. Yeah, no, I mean, as usual, come with curiosity in that matter. Because it's just more of like, okay, what is having you think that there's like secrets or something being withheld from you, right? Like, what is indicating that to you, or what are you thinking on, because it's like, there's all kinds of things of like where it's like, oh yeah, well, they keep hiding their phone away from me or something like that, then it's like, okay, well, that's interesting, versus just being like, well, obviously they are keeping secrets from me because that's just what people do. It's like, okay, what's going on?
Right.
And so, just being curious around like, oh, what's bringing that up for you and everything. Because, also in that way of bringing curiosity for yourself, it's like, it's a little bit easier to then bring curiosity to the other person because it's like, oh yeah, like these are some of the things that I have thought on, or that are, having me feel a little bit anxious or insecure, whatever it is. And so like you being curious with yourself then allows you to be able to share that more. Which, I think usually people just come right at it of like, hey, I seen you hiding your phone from me. What's that about? You hiding secrets from me and all that, but it's like, oh, what's going on,
Yeah.
But I think it's just also just, the approach.
Yeah, the approach. And one of the things that I heard in what you said is like, can you distinguish, between the thoughts you're having about it and the physical reality that you're seeing. And one of the things that's really helpful for me in this is actually writing it down, is being like, these are the thoughts that I'm having, these are the feelings that I'm having, and this is what's actually happening. Like, this is what I'm actually seeing. Like, if I could only show someone a video of what's going on, right? It's like, I see them doing this, or I see them like turning away when they are on their phone. I see them, always walking outside to take phone calls. I see them, when they're with me, they have like this facial expression. But when they're, talking about this other thing, then they're acting this way. So like actually just writing down like what is the reality that you're seeing, because and that also is helpful in having those curious conversations that Lee was talking about too, because now you have written down like bullet points to talk about, and again, not in like an accusatory way, like what's wrong with you, like why are you doing this, da, 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 like, but more in just like a curious way, like I've been noticing you do these things, and as silly as it sounds, like what's coming up for me is that like you're hiding something from me. And so I just want to know a little bit more about like what's going on for you. And I don't want to make up stories about you, etc. So like having that more, like that's really helpful for me to have it written down, because then I can like actually point to something, because I'm also someone who, when having difficult conversations, I can often like lose myself in thought, where like beforehand I'm like, oh, here's all the things that I want to say, but then in the conversation all of that kind of like flies out of my head, because I get anxious, or I get stuck on one of the bullet points, or they say something that I wasn't expecting.
Right.
And so, yeah, just having those things written down, and even, and, you know, some of you might feel a little bit weird about this, but it is really helpful, even coming into the conversation with that piece of paper and just saying, like, I wrote some of this stuff down just because I don't want to forget what I was talking about, and I'm nervous to have this conversation with you. Like, you can be that upfront and vulnerable about it as well.
I feel like a lot of people would benefit from bringing notes to hard conversations. You know, it's like a little cheat sheet. A little diagram.
Yeah. Visuals are so helpful.
A little graphic organizer, you know, whatever it is.
You know, I saw this couple, and of course I'm going to forget their handle or what they was it Instagram or YouTube? Anyways, maybe they do both things. But they're a neurodivergent couple, and so their content is actually around how they navigate their relationship with their different types of neurodivergence. And one of the things is writing things down and having like an outline for conversations when there's a difficult conversation to have. And I saw that and I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. Like, what a great thing to do. And then in the comments, people were like, and of course, anything that you put on the internet, somebody's going to have some stupid thing to say about it. But in the comments, people were like, oh, if I was in a relationship where people had an outline or bullet points for our conversation, then I would leave the relationship. And I was like, oh my God. Look at these people doing their best to like have productive, effective conversations.
Be like, dude, and don't like, let me know how you're doing in those hard conversations.
Yeah, exactly. For the people who are like, I would leave that relationship. It's like, how are your relationships going?
Like,
how does communication go for you?
Sure. Like,
you know,
what, dude? It's like, you know what? If it works for you, like, freaking go for it. That was the problem. No one's getting hurt.
No one's getting. In fact, the opposite of that is happening. People are actually getting better. The people they're feeling heard. They're able to like check all the boxes. They're able to feel reassured that they were able to remember and say all the things that they wanted to say to each other.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, like what a great idea.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like something that most people would be able to relate to in the sense of like, you know, when you're, because also if you taking the example of like perceived secret keeping in a relationship, it's like, yeah, if you know, had that little cheat sheet of notes and like being like, okay, like as you're doing it, like for sure, like, you know, you could be feeling some tough emotions, but like you're pretty like, oh, like I have it clear in my mind, you know, all da. Because yeah, when you go into a conversation, like all kinds of emotions come up because now you're actively talking about it. You're seeing how it's impacting your partner. You're hearing from them of like, what are you talking about? You know, whatever, or like how they're
however they're responding,
or like you just see them kind of freeze or whatever it is. In essence, now there's just this whole other aspect to it, and then they bring in other, you know, factors to it that are not, you know, related to your cheat sheet because, you know, that's their experience, and so it's like. You were so confident going into it, like, oh, I got it all cleared up here, and it's great. And then you go in, you're like, what are we talking about? And then you start to feel the heightened experience of like, oh, like my anxiety and all that, right? Versus, freaking bring a cheat sheet in. I love it. I freaking am about it.
Yeah, for sure. And to that point, like writing things down as you see them as well, is also really helpful too. If you're kind of like quote unquote preparing to have this conversation, then just having like little notes for yourself can be really helpful. And again, this is not to like create a case against your partner.
Yes, we are gonna win this.
Right. It's not like putting, it's not like sitting them down and putting them on trial. Like that's not what I'm
Grab
saying.
a spotlight.
Yeah, grab a
Shine it right in their face.
You are so sassy today.
No, it's just I just like have such a, like they're tied to a chair. You know?
I was literally seeing that. Like as you were saying that, I was literally like, "All right, get out the ropes, jeez." Put a black bag above that over their head. Oh my god! It's getting intense in here.
Yeah, no, you're not taking them to court, And I mean, I think that's also, in talking about like when you are, writing down these observations and whatnot, it's also just being like, once something comes into our mind of like, this could be happening, especially if like anxiety is involved or fear and everything, we start to then like be like, and then they did this thing and that must also mean,
right.
secret thing. So it's like you have to, you need to be mindful of that, right? Because then like we start to look for the ways that we're right. And if we're thinking the way that we're right is that they're keeping a secret from us, then that is the mode and filter that we're going to be operating from. And so then it's like, oh, and then they drank their coffee in this manner and went to the other room. Like it's like
my anxiety says stuff like that.
No, like that's what I'm saying. Like it's like especially when anxiety is incorporated in any capacity. Anxiety
and if you
will
think
take it and friggin' run for the hills around how this is like playing out, where your partner's just like, what is going on?
Right.
Like I was drinking my coffee. Right. And so it's just like, you really need to be mindful of like your emotional state, but it's also like what are you making it mean already of like, oh, this is, obviously they took their phone call outside, they are doing something suspicious, right? Versus being like, well, they like were like, oh, my reception is better outside, so I went outside for the call. Like that's why I go outside for the calls, right? It's like, oh, well, that's cool,
Or they're like, oh, I know that you're really sensitive to like noise and sound, so I don't want to like, and I talk really loud, so I wanted to like step outside and like give you space, because I was gonna talk to my friend, and we're always super loud with each other,
Yeah, I mean, people could be doing that, and then it's like, oh wait, then you can be like, oh no, I don't mind. Okay, cool, done. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's also like, going back to what I said earlier about differentiating between what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what's actually happening. Mm-hmm. Because then you can also reassess that for yourself, right? Like if you know that you are having a lot of anxiety right now, then, can you look at your thoughts and be like, okay, what if these thoughts are like anxious thoughts, And this is not to, I'm thinking about my overthinkers and my overanalyzers out there. Like this is not to like overthink this and overanalyze this to the point where you're not even sure like what's up and what's down.
Yeah.
But this is just to like keep things like keep you grounded and be like, okay, it's possible that this thought, like asking yourself the question, like, is it possible that this thought isn't true? Right? Is it possible that I'm not right about this? And again, like not making that judgment call of like whether you're right or wrong or like who's right or wrong in this situation, but just keeping yourself grounded. Like, is it possible that the way I'm thinking about this is not true? Are there other ways of thinking about this? And again, that's not to like discover every single way that you could think about this situation. It's just to keep keep the possibility open and not to get like so tunnel vision into like one thought or one idea that you have and then making that correct without considering other things. And then most importantly, checking in with your partner about it. Again, this tool is so you can have a conversation and really check it out in reality with them by talking to them. Like, this is not to be like a detective or a sleuth in your own mind and figure out the situation on your own. This is so you can have a conversation, figure it out in reality, and then move, from there.
Yeah. Hardy boys.
Nancy Drew. Sherlock Holmes. What's the Residence? That's the Netflix one. Yeah. I really want to watch it. Anywho.
And as you were talking, the other thing that like comes up for this too is just thinking about past situations, whether with this person or not, or like maybe there's been relationships where there's been a lot of mistrust, where like things have been actually withheld from you deliberately, and like all of these were in a very hurtful way, yada yada yada. Like that, depending on like how it happened, how much it happened, all that kind of stuff, like that can absolutely still be with you. And so then it's also being mindful of that experience of like how your mind's trying to project that onto the situation as like a protection, right? Like, oh, I'm being a lot more hyper vigilant and like overthinking, overanalyzing because I didn't do that in the past, and then I got hurt, right? And so it's like, oh, there's these behaviors that are very suspicious and remind me of this past experience or whatever it is, and especially if it like happened in this relationship like the one that is going on too, like that is a separate situation. Like
I feel like we should I want to talk about that in a second. Anyway, continue.
There you go. She wants to talk about it.
I do want to talk about it.
So I mean, I think it's just also pulling that into play, because I'm thinking about it for like myself in these kinds of situations where like because it's like, there are things that, we carry from our past. And just, again, being mindful of that and being like, oh yeah, there's that little whisper back there of like, this is what they're doing. I bet you anything this is what's going on. And it's like, okay, well, let's look at like, I can see the parallels to that, or like how it feels similar, but it's like, look at these other factors at play and stuff, and it's like there's definitely a lot of those things where you're just being with it, and like you can investigate in terms of like asking, or just kind of getting clear for yourself around, okay, like what am I thinking on here, and and then just like being able to like move through it in that way, because it's like for sure, I mean there's plenty of things like that for me, especially with like trust and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, and it's just like it's like that little like twinge in your body where you're like, okay, but it's fine. And and then just being able to navigate in that way and stuff. But I just think about those kinds of situations too, because I mean I hear a lot about that from like clients as well, from previous situations where it's like, man, that messed me up, I don't want that again, and this person's doing something very similar feeling, and it's like they are probably doing something for a different reason in the way of going about it or whatever. So like especially even taking the situation of like someone stepped out for a call or whatever, and it's like the person that did that before was like actively cheating on me. It's like and then versus this person that's like, oh yeah, my reception's better outside, it's like they're doing the same behavior, but very different reasons, for what is causing them to do that. So it's like, just knowing, like noticing how your mind is playing those tricks on you, in a way of like trying to protect you.
Yeah, exactly. Because your mind is like predictive texts.
No, I'm like, dude, mine gets me sometimes with those though.
Oh
like,
yeah, woo! No, for sure, for sure.
Like, it's fine. It's not. That's what's happening. Anyway, you wanted to talk about the situation.
Well, the other thing that I wanted to say before talking about like if it's a recurring situation, so before we talk about that, The other thing around like, if you're feeling really anxious or you feel like someone's keeping secrets from you, besides writing it down, is also to talk it out with someone else too. And I find that to be especially helpful in wanting to have these conversations, because it takes out a lot of the charge of it, or it can take out a lot of the charge around these conversations. And it can also help you sort things out. Like when we actually say things out loud, first of all, there's the process of that release, like that energetic release of it. But there's also us hearing ourselves say it out loud. And even just that, like, hearing ourselves say it out loud bit can sort things out a lot for us, where it's like, wait, do I even believe that? Like thinking something versus saying it out loud. Like thinking something, it's a lot easier to believe it. Saying it out loud, it's like, oh wow, like I can hear how that isn't true just in even saying it out loud, right? And also if you're talking to someone, and maybe that's like a trusted friend, a coach, a therapist, you know, in a group that you really trust, you know, whatever that situation, you know, maybe to your dog, to your cat, whatever the situation is that you feel safe sharing it out loud. And also if you do talk to a friend or a person about this, or a family member about this, just asking them to like, or talking to someone who can be unbiased, you know, who can come from a non-judgmental place. Because if you are talking to someone who already doesn't like your partner, like
that's so funny. Not a good plan.
Right. Like they might immediately, with no other evidence, they might be like, oh yeah, that checks out about them. They suck, you know, like, so it's not going to be helpful in like processing your thoughts and how you feel if someone is super biased in this situation.
So funny.
Oh man. Yeah, so verbalizing it. That was the other thought that I had around that. And the other part of that too, in verbalizing it, is that when it's kind of like a rehearsal to the conversation, at least that's how it is for me, because then I can like sort through all of the things that I'm like, oh, actually, like, I don't believe that, or like, I don't actually think that that's true, or that's not actually how I feel. Like that was just something that was coming up for me, but I see that it's not a part of this situation, you know, like it's just something else that's there from whatever, from being stressed this week, or, you know, or things from my past or whatever. And so having that kind of like quote unquote like rehearsal conversation can also be really helpful in having this conversation with the person that you need to have it with too. It helps you be better prepared, and also not to like jump straight out of the gate and like accuse them of things or etc. Like allows you to come from a more curious place, or come from a more grounded place. Cool. Any thoughts that you have about that?
No.
Okay. So, if...
Now she's going to go off.
Sassafras.
I'm preparing everybody.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if I was about to go off, but...
Dang it, I was looking forward to it.
I was just gonna say, like, if this is already a pattern, like, if this person has already like kept secrets from you, or like withheld things from you, and now you're starting to see it as a pattern, then that needs to be addressed in the conversation as well. Like, this is the second time that this has happened, or this is the third time that this has happened. Like, why does this keep happening? You know, and also having a conversation with yourself, like having an honest conversation with yourself about what this what role you want to play in this relationship. Like, does the relationship, the way it stands now, like not the potential of the relationship, but does the relationship, the way it stands now, work for you?
Mm-hmm.
And this is just, so this is not me being like, oh, now you need to break up with them. That's not what this conversation is, okay? That might be something you choose. You might choose to end the relationship, and that's perfectly valid. I don't know your life. I don't know what's going on. And it's not black or white. It's not like we stay together and stick it out or we break up. Like, that's not how this works. So if you see that it's a pattern and you have a conversation with yourself, you can assess, like, how do you want this relationship to go moving forward? Who do you want to be in this relationship moving forward? What do you need to see change in the relationship in order for you to stay, or in order for you to, in order for this to be healthy for you? And if it doesn't change, then what do you want to do about that? Right? And like, that is, again, that's a hard conversation to have, where it's just like, hey, like, if you keep, lying to me about things, we're going to have to change the nature of our relationship. Maybe we go back to just being friends, or maybe I move out, or maybe we see each other less, or like, I'm not going to put as much energy into this relationship if this behavior keeps happening. Like, I'm not going to, like, maybe I'm not going to leave you completely, but I'm not going to keep investing as much into this relationship if this is how this is going to go. And just being really clear about that too, and being really clear about like what your boundaries are, because that's a boundary, right? It's like if like I would like it to go this way, and like I would like you to stop lying to me in this scenario. If you continue to lie to me, then I will do this. I will remove myself. I will stop putting as much energy in. I will move out. Right? I think that that's pretty clear. I was going to give an example, but I think that that's pretty clear, actually. What thoughts do you have about that? Like, if you were coaching someone and they were like, my partner keeps lying to me, and then, because I feel like the scenario that I see when this comes up, and again, there's multiple scenarios, but like, generally, if I'm working with someone, or as I've worked with people in the past, and they're with someone who there is a history of broken trust, one of the things that I see happen is that the person who continues to break trust will make a promise around that broken trust and then break that promise, right? Which continues the cycle of broken trust. Yeah. Like, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, or I'm going to do X, and then they don't do that. They don't follow through on that. Or they follow through on that, but only for a short period of time. And then they go back to that previous behavior. And, usually I'm working with the person who is the person being lied to, right? And so as I'm working with them, the other person is not there for me to coach. Right. So I can't, do anything necessarily about their behavior. But when I'm coaching the person who is being lied to, then this is the conversation that we're having. What boundaries do you want to put in place? How long are you willing to put up with this behavior? Like, if this doesn't change, like, now that it's been a pattern for the past 5 years or 10 years or however long it's been, like, now that this has continuously been a pattern in your relationship, like, I'm not shutting the door on this other person. Like, I'm not saying that they can't change, but but we are seeing that they have chosen not to change this entire time. So if they don't change, then how much longer do you want to be in this relationship? Like, what is your, break even point? And so it's like, well, maybe they're like, well, it was like -2 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it's like, okay, well, let's have that conversation, and some people are like, no, I'm willing to stay for another year. I'm willing to stay for another 5 years, whatever it is. And there isn't a right answer, right? There's no shame. There's no judgment. Like, again, this is your life. You get to choose the people who are in your life. And the situations are more complicated than this, like, you really love this person. You have kids with this person. You have known this person your entire life. You've been together 20 years. Like, there are like so many other circumstances. There's no judgment on, my part, or certainly on Lee's part. Lee is literally the most non-judgmental person I've ever met in my entire life. It's crazy.
Which is why I give all these sassy remarks.
Which is, yeah.
This is how I can get it out.
But then it's like, okay, like really having an honest conversation with yourself about what you are willing to put up with and how long you're willing to put up with that thing. And then from there, what are the conversations that need to happen? Like the really honest conversations that need to happen with your partner around that. And usually it's not a one and done conversation. Usually it's like multiple, it's multiple conversations, right?
Usually most conversations
are
not one and done.
Right. They're very, very,
someone's selling you that.
Yeah.
They're selling you lies.
They're lying to you. They're keeping secrets from you. Secrets. But yeah, like really having those honest conversations with yourself if this has been a pattern for some time.
Yeah. I mean, it's like one of those things where regardless of what the pattern is, this one, for instance, is withholding information or secrets, right? Or just like this pattern that is not working in a relationship. And it's like, okay, this has been going on for X amount of time. Like, what is happening here? Yeah, and it is always that question of like, what is your tolerance for this, right? Like, you want to keep working on this or, give it time to change for another year, another 6 months, another 6 years, like whatever it is, right? And so it is just like another conversation of that. And like, because I'm like, yeah, I mean, most of the time, people that are getting lied to are gonna, seek out help and stuff. I feel like,
yeah, usually it's not the person lying,
right,
that is going to seek out help. The person lying is going to seek out help when the person who is being lied to puts their foot down,
is like, I'm done,
and is like, I'm done, or like, if this doesn't change, I'm gone within the next year, or whatever it, like, that's when the liar will then seek out help,
right? Yeah.
Because they're like, oh shit, like this is serious, like I'm going to lose this person if I don't, which is unfortunate that's generally what it takes for people to change. Like that is
usually what happens.
That is a bummer, but that's usually the pattern that we see.
And and thinking of like the, I have worked with the quote unquote liars of these situations, these secret keepers.
If you're lying, you're a liar. Like that doesn't mean that you are a liar. Like your core soul essence is a liar. I know, but you're adding drama and I'm adding philosophy, okay? I'm adding ontology, all right?
Gosh. She's adding on big words.
Big words.
Yeah, no, like this doesn't mean you're a liar. Like,
yeah, exactly. I just want to make that clear. Like, just because you're
a lying liar doesn't make you a lying liar.
It's not your core essence of who you are. But if you are lying, you are a liar. Like in this circumstance, in this context, you are a liar.
But yeah, so I've worked with like a few of these folks, and also recognizing, like, I was like thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, most of them it's like it's gotten to the point where it's like, yeah, you gotta change it up, or the relationship is ending. But I mean, some of them are like, this is really a problem. And and I think, again, like, especially when it comes to withholding information, secrets, and not telling the truth, like there can be other factors at play. And but like for the folks that I've talked with, like it's usually it's a protective mechanism, and it's like, oh yeah, like they just feel so much shame around whatever it is, right? And so it's like, and it's probably something they picked up when they were younger, of like, oh well, if I just skirt around the issue by saying this thing, then then I'm safe. And so it's like, yeah, maybe like what they really need to work on is like addressing conflict, right? Because it's like, if I have more confidence in navigating through conflict with a partner, then I don't have to feel the urge or to lie, or to say whatever it is, because then you are actually able to like navigate that in a way that you don't like be like, I am completely unsafe. And or also just like the shame around being like, yeah, like I lie to people, or I lie to my partner, and I've done this, and I've told them time and time again, like, oh, I'm going to work on it, or I'm not, or whatever it is. And so it's like, there's just a lot of deep shame that is involved too. And so it's like, even just like, that deep healing work within themselves too. And so it is like, it's so varied, but it's like, it's just one of those things where, it's like, it's just like any bad habit. Like, we all have our things, and it's like, obviously I know there's lots of shame around like that. And, it's especially in a partnership where it's like, oh, you don't keep secrets from each other, or you don't, whatever, you're supposed to tell them everything. It's like, there's like all these societal, pressures around it, and like, what does that mean? And then, where it's like, oh yeah, it's, maybe it's just like, they just feel whatever shame around something, and they don't ever tell their partner about it because they don't want to. They're like, oh, they're going to judge me, or they're not going to love me anymore, or or like, I've been really hurt in the past when I've talked about this, so I'm just going to withhold it from them, right? Because it's like, I can't deal with that. And then you just keep up that pattern, because it's like, well, now I'm kind of falling into it, right? And so there's just like so much, that can be at play there for people. And so it's like, again, it is one of those things. I mean, it's, as long as it's not like something else going on, like mental health wise, like, these are things that you can address. And I mean, I think, and I was like thinking about like the people that have come that are like the ones, struggling with the lying aspect of it, is like, a lot of them do tend to need like therapy for deeper healing work and everything, because it's like, yeah, for sure, we can talk about communication skills and all that kind of stuff, which is great, but there's like deeper rooted issues, and then you need like deeper support and everything, or a different kind of support.
Yeah, definitely. And that's also why, like, in having these conversations, like coming at it from curiosity and like compassion is really great. And I also want to make the distinction of, you can have curiosity and compassion and hold people accountable for their actions at the same time.
Right, yeah. You can be understanding, like, oh yeah, they did this because of XYZ reason. And also, that doesn't work for me. And you need to make these changes, or you're not going to be able to be in a relationship with me.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And like, having that type of accountability is going to, how do I want to say that? Having that type of accountability is going to cause a change. And that might not be, the person themselves changing, but if you are willing to hold someone accountable and also have boundaries that keep you healthy, then that change might, again, like we said earlier, it might be you shifting your role in that relationship. It might be you leaving that relationship. And those are all hard things to do, which is, again, like why, Lee and I have a lot of like non-judgment and compassion for all parties involved, because like these are all challenging things. Anytime that there is a change, regardless of what that is challenging, And as humans, we tend to resist change. And so we do, when we have like that curiosity and compassion, sometimes we struggle with the accountability piece. It's like, oh, well, I understand where they're coming from, so it's okay, I'm willing to work on it. But that willing to work on it is believing their promise and not holding them accountable,
Right.
and then not holding their boundaries too. So that's kind of like that's the harder part of that. And then like on the other side, the person who has been lying, like usually that does come from, and again, outside of like any other psychological issues, because there's definitely other factors that can be at play when people lie. But some of the other some of the factors that can be at play can be like that deep shame and like
Just like fear.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if I don't lie about this, then I won't be accepted, I won't be loved, I won't be understood. Like, if I tell the truth about this, then they will leave me. So like they're thinking that if they lie, that they're actually going to keep the relationship, when it's actually the opposite, and that's our lovely brains at work. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Oh, the other thing that I was going to say that we didn't distinguish at the beginning of this podcast is about what, and I think that this is like worthy of an entire podcast in and of itself, is just like what constitutes as a secret, and are secrets okay in relationships? And I think hopefully what you've been able to discern from this conversation is that we're talking about like actively lying. Like when we've been saying secrets, we've been meaning like withholding information, lying, when the other person is like, when the person who's withholding or the person who is lying knows that what they're withholding would hurt their partner. Right. So that was the distinct, but there are a bunch of other things that we could talk about inside of secrets, as a topic. But yeah, like this context specifically was about things that like the person who's withholding knows, is harmful. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, secrets are great.
That was sarcasm. No, again, I think that that's a totally different topic, because I know that, there's different, because it's also like there's some secrets where it's like, it isn't my secret that I'm keeping. Like I'm keeping like a secret for a friend or like a family member or something like that, or whatever it is. Right. So anyways, that's again, a whole other topic. So I hope that you found this episode helpful. I hope that you have some action steps to take from here. If you want our support, this is what we help people do. This is what we help people navigate. We would love to help you navigate the situation that you are dealing with. So reach out to us, go to the links in our, in the description of this video, and let us know, book a call with us.
Stop lying.
Yes, if only it were that simple.
Just a one and done conversation, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just, oh my God. All right, we love you.
Love you. Bye. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Queer Love Podcast. We would love to hear from you. Drop us a line on TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter at Queer Love Relationships, or email us at queerloverelationships@gmail.com.
If you are interested in working with us, follow the Linktree link in the show notes. See if our offers resonate with you, and if they do, sign up with us or book a discovery session.
We are so grateful that you're here, listening, learning, and growing with us.
Until next time, keep loving.